Amidst tensions between India and the US on trade deal stalemate and the former's continued Russia crude oil purchases, External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar has made it clear that India's policies will be in its national interest. Yes, that's our big focus. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. Thanks for joining us. Acknowledging issues in trade deal ties with the Trump administration, Jaishankar said that India has its red lines, adding that the agenda presented as an oil issue is still not applied to its Russia's largest importer, China. The minister also emphasized that India maintains independent decision-making abilities and will make them all in its national interest, even if they don't align with the expectations of other countries. Joining us live, Rubinder Sachdev, international affairs expert. Sharad Kohli, senior economist, joins us live as well. Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist, is live with us. Surendra Lali, foreign affairs expert, is also joining the broadcast live. Rubinder, let me make a start with you. What do you make of these recent comments by the foreign minister, and what do they tell us about India's outlook to what the US has been doing?
Thank you. They are pleasure to be with you and the esteemed panel. I think what Minister Jaishankar's comments tell us is that India is digging in its stance that it will continue its relationships, including purchasing of oil from Russia, and whatever steps or tariffs, let's say, America imposes, India stands ready to face them, bottom line. But secondly, also, I think what Jaishankarji said today, I think I've not heard this term before from him or any of our foreign ministry about red lines regarding our agriculture and farming sector. We have, yes, kind of, all along been saying that those are sectors where we will not be able to, grant America or American goods the market access that they're seeking for multiple reasons. But I think this is the first time India is using the terminology of red lines. I might be mistaken, but I think it is the first time. So either which way, altogether, it shows that India is digging in its heels and we are looking to weather the storm, whatever the storm brings to India.
Right. Sharad Kohli, let me, take that across to you. What outlook are we also getting on the trade negotiations and the trade talks with the US through this statement by S Jaishankar?
Well, good evening, Uday. Good evening to my fellow panelists and Newsx viewers. I think as of now, I don't see any headway, at least for the immediate time that we are talking about. But I'm still very hopeful of the time to come because we all know President Trump for his flip-flop kind of an attitude. And I'm sure he will increasingly realize that what he is doing is not correct. I mean, statements like, India is funding the Russian war. I mean, that statement to me sounds ridiculous because basically what you're trying to say is that for all the people being killed in Ukraine, India is responsible. Keeping in mind the fact that in 2022, when the oil prices had started soaring because of the Russia-Ukraine war, it was America who said that go ahead and carry on buying from Russia because the prices would have shot through the roof otherwise. And all right, they may have been Democrats at that time, but as a country, your policy has to be consistent. And at least Trump administration should remember that this was the stance taken by the Biden administration at that point of time. So I think that is where they will probably have to rethink the whole thing. And I mean, the animosity with Russia being vented out on India, and India being used as a tool or Russia being used as a tool, I mean, whatever they're trying to do. And now, what has happened recently is that another 2 weeks time has been given to President Putin. So the meeting between President Putin and President Trump was more of a photo op, if you ask me. I was the first one amongst the panelists to say that, this is a photo op. This is not going to result in anything, basically. And I think the Putin-Zelensky meeting is not happening. So effectively, what it means is that the Russia-Ukraine war is going to go on. In fact, things may get more aggravated from here on. We have been hearing about some nuclear movements happening on either sides at some places. So things don't seem to be going very well now. But having said that, from an economic perspective, Uday, I think America will start feeling the pinch if somebody has heard the Jackson Hole Symposium minutes, which was held yesterday in America. The governors have expressed their concern that the prices have started shooting up, although they have to pose and they have to form a posture saying everything is okay, American economy is doing well. But fact of the matter is otherwise. American economy is not doing well at all. No investments are coming. Cost of living is shooting up through the roof. new employment is not being generated. These are the three basic parameters, Uday, which I have been very closely following. On all these three parameters, America is not scoring well. So this will start counting on the minds of President Trump, and my fear is that people might come on the streets because you can only tolerate as much as you can take, because if the prices keep going through the roof, you will not be able to meet your basic requirements like utility bills, your grocery bills, and other expenses. So I think that is going to hit people of America, and it's just a matter of time, which is why I think that things may turn around and he will have to realize that what he is doing is not correct. India and America are natural allies. One is the largest democracy, one is the oldest democracy. People of America are flabbergasted. They're surprised. I've been talking to so many people across America. I've got friends, I've got business associates, I've got extended family there. I've got so many people out there, Uday. All of them are absolutely surprised. They are in anguish. In fact, they say, we've never seen Indian-American relations at such a low. And
Right.
Rabinder has written a book on President Trump. I wonder if he's going to add a few more chapters to that book, to complete that book and add a few more chapters about this part of the story of President Trump. Well, I hope sense prevails on him, Uday, as early as possible.
Okay, let me in fact quickly take that across to you, Gautam Mukherjee, on also the statements made by Foreign Minister Jaishankar on, of course, the Russian oil buying issue. Saying that it's pretty funny that a pro-business administration is actually critical of other nations doing business. Many other such comments made by the foreign minister at this forum. What can be read between the lines? He measures his words very, very carefully. Anytime he speaks, what did you make of what he said on this occasion, Gautam, on a host of issues concerning the US?
I think, Uday, it shows a stiffening of our stance with regard to the United States. It's a two-way street. They're also being very adamant and are now attacking Indians who are working there, saying that don't hire them. Visas are being restricted. So this has turned into an entrenched economic battle between India and America. The fact that India is not giving in is instead widening its scope of economic activities with BRICS, with Russia, with China, with other countries that are friendly towards India, is extremely aggravating to the Trump administration, who are, not, in addition to Trump, various others are making intemperate remarks because they are being humiliated by India, which refuses to bend. And the reason why we are able to do this is we are not export dependent to the extent of the United States, nor import dependent to the extent of China. Oil is our main import, and armaments. In armaments, we are doing all we can. We have signed with a $7 billion agreement with the French to make a 120 kN engine for the AMCA. We might be making another prototype for the MK2 or, Tejas, in case GE reneges on its supplies of GE 414 engines, which as such, there is an agreement in place, but with Trump behaving the way he is, he could put an embargo on it. They are talking in terms of additional sanctions. So this is an entrenched battle. There is nothing else to be said. The new ambassador that has been chosen to come in, he could very well come here, Mr. Gore, and try to promote regime change. He's apparently a regime change expert. Now, with all this, we are under attack. It is much worse than just a trade difficulty. It is actually a battle with the United States.
Well, Surinder Singh Lali, also a reminder of Osama bin Laden for the US by the foreign minister. What do you make of the timing of his statements and, what he said and what its implications are for India-US ties?
Thank you. Uday, to me, Donald Trump looks frustrated. So the American financial supremacy is still there, but I think American hegemony has been for serious revision, and that's where I think Donald Trump is getting frustrated. I mean, even if you look at it in the last 48 hours, he's been attacking the Smithsonian Museum. He's trying to rewrite history, as we call it, getting into the post-truth narrative. And, that raid on John Bolton. So I think he, as they say, when you get into a hole, you stop digging. But unfortunately, Donald Trump is even digging deeper. I mean, he's put every visa ever granted from the American embassy after that unfortunate, truck trailer attack under, scrutiny. So obviously, America, which used to be the globe's darling and the first choice, ain't going to be there. But Uday, Donald Trump is almost like a, little dictator. If you look at Peter Navarro's statement and the article just he wrote in the Financial Times, I mean, he's virtually coming and threatening us on our face. It is the same George Bush kind of Republican logic. Either you're with us or you're with the rest of the world. I mean, the last thing I want from the city, that's what I choose to call, Peter Navarro, is that, USA attacked Iran for what? For WMDs linked to September 11, terrorist hub? Was any of it found? If Peter Navarro was listening? No. Guess what? And I scenes, General Murir gets a very lavish lunch, which is, beyond every possible, protocol. And then the Trump extended family through their World Liberty financial goals and invest into that. So I think the last thing we need is suppose morality and ethics from either Donald J. Trump, Peter Navarro, even Senator Lindsey Graham. I mean, for a fellow democracy, we will take them apart. It's not the kind of language you use. I mean, these Johnnies feel as if there is some sort of a, Western movie. And I feel, now getting back to the question and the way we have been handling all of this, especially our honorable, minister, he's been absolutely handling it in a very dignified manner. We have kept the channels open. We are not going down to the level of being dignified as Trump, as his, entire country has been. And we actually a silver lining to all of this. If anything, they are, helping even get more stronger, and they have every reason to be concerned because 10 countries, 40% of the GDP, 4 times the manufacturing facility of the United States and the highest GDP growth. So I think the silver lining is, if anything, Trump administration is helping us look civilized while we're maintaining our channels open, back channels are open, complete dignity. Because so then my last point is America is not in a habit of, strategic partners. All they like is allies. They don't like anybody having an opinion of their own. Now that India has, stood the ground, we said thank you, but no thank you. And that is something which is even frustrating Donald Trump much more. And even the last word is not said in it. Because the problem...
Yes, your audio unfortunately is wavering a bit. So I'm going to quickly interject there. I don't know what the issues are. We'll try and fix that. But Robinder, coming back in here on the India-US relationship as well. Where is it headed? Which direction? Do you believe a reset is possible? What will need to be done for that reset? And also, how do you react, Robinder, to how, India has navigated this friction with our moves vis-a-vis China and Russia?
Oh, thank you, Uday. One, this whole episode, hopefully with some time, maybe in another few months, would kind of, dampen the whole rhetoric. but it will definitely, it seems it will leave scars for the medium term at least between US-India relations. On the other hand, this is also, I think, a wake-up call for India. Absolutely right. Now, in that wake-up call, there's some things we need to do internally, absolutely, and some things we need to do externally. Internally, yes, we need to, maybe have another era of or a period of reforms. We need to work harder. Korea and Japan were not built in a single day. I mean, the countries, whatever they did, they put in immense hard work to bring their countries where they are. Now, externally, yes. Externally, from what I see, what I feel, and thanks, Sharad mentioned, and Uday, thank you for hosting a discussion on the book also. My take is that, the world of today, it's like a new building under construction. It's a matrix under construction after COVID and the Ukraine-Russia conflict. All nations are re-looking, and in a way, the world is rebooting. Now, in this rebooting, while this was happening, along comes Trump and his administration and their policies towards India. So that is definitely, I think, kind of having an impact in any case of how we were looking at Russia and China, but more so now. Remember one more thing. With China, about a year ago, somehow things got into a slightly better and a normal phase after the Kazan meeting between Prime Minister Modi and Xi Jinping. Now, there's a lot of, optopolitics, geopolitics also going on. We are definitely wanting and thinking that, okay, better relations with China should be in the order of the day on the horizon. And China also seems to want that. But if the perception is that India is cozying up or improving relations with China because India is cornered due to the United States, then China would have in its mind that it has a higher position or power equation in terms of negotiations. I mean, if other nations feel that, you are looking to mend your relations with them because of the situation with America. So we face that. Secondly, with Russia, I think definitely, yes, with Russia, our relations are now suddenly deepening, widening, and a relook and a refresh. But the challenge with Russia also is that Russia is getting closer to China. Okay, and that will be a factor that we need to keep an eye out. And that's why a ceasefire in Ukraine at the earliest is in our strategic interest. The longer this war, continues, the more Russia will get embedded deeper with China. So in the talk today also that India, Russia, and China getting together to, have a forum of sorts, I think that's premature. And secondly, if ever such a forum is to be conceptualized, it is said to be RIC, Russia, India, China. My submission is that we should use a terminology as
Yes.
IRC. It's India, Russia, China. There's a lot which goes into terminologies and agenda setting of these forums. So if that happens, but it'll be a very complicated dance between these three nations, Russia, India, Russia, and China.
Okay, let me in fact quickly take that across to you, Sharad Kohli, on the economics of it all as well. What sort of impact is this friction likely to have on our GDP, and how do we attempt to navigate that then? If there is going to be a bump, how do we circumvent that bump? How do we look at alternatives?
Well,
we have to, let me just quickly add, we have to wait for the 27th because there could be another change. As you were saying earlier, it's happened before, it could happen again. But if this does come into effect and there is this impact, how do we navigate this?
Well, Uday, the economic bump, to my mind, is about between 45 and $50 billion of exports, where total $50 billion because the policy of acting on its convenience. Then elect may be exempt because he keeps threatening about them as well. Well, we should not take that exemption for now because he keeps talking that in the next few weeks we would have pharmaceutical and electronic tariffs as well. But assuming the status quo for now, about $40-50 billion, which I think, Uday, yes, from an exporter's perspective, it's a reasonable amount. It's a reasonably large amount. I think my back of the envelope calculation says about 0.2, anything between 0.2 to 0.5% of GDP impact. But then, efforts have already started both at the government level, and I spoke to some exporters from Gujarat. I spoke to some exporters from South India, especially from Tirupur, where textiles were impacted, Surat, where gems and jewelry were impacted, and some of the exporters around Delhi, in Gurugram and other places. Well, they have already started looking for markets because, you know, the signals have started coming from 2nd of April itself. So they were sort of prepared and they had started looking for markets elsewhere. And the good thing is that Government of India has lent a very strong.
Okay, I think we've lost you there, unfortunately, Sharad. Let me join Surinder Singh Lali in at this point. Surinder Singh Lali, as far as, of course, now the question of US-Pakistan ties as well are concerned, where do you see things headed between the two countries?
Honestly, Uday, it's very unfortunate that the kind of template and the business model or the economic philosophy that Pakistan works on, we can't compete. Pakistan is like a renter nation. And as long as Donald Trump, the mercurial mercantilist Donald Trump, finds Pakistan of utility, please understand, Uday, we used to say, it's commonly said that, Pakistan doesn't have an army have a Pakistan. So what I've been saying lately is that now America doesn't have a president. The president of the United States has a country. So whatever he does, he's a businessman end of the day, and he does it through the prism of that. So as long as number one, because, Pakistan, the best thing about, unfortunately, about them is that they're so well placed, and if America has to come to this part of the world for any reason, they need Pakistan. And number two, somewhere, this is my personal opinion, somewhere Donald Trump's ego has been dropped the wrong way. I don't know, because, Mr. Modi, when he went there, and, he didn't meet him, or the meeting with the other vice president. Single war. So I think somewhere he ruffled his feathers, and he's probably going to another extent, making ridiculous statements by saying that Pakistan will sell us oil. I mean, I think that is absolutely unfounded. So a mercurial businessman can go in any extent as long as he is unhappy with India. Channels have to pamper his ego, because that's what they've done. If you remember Mr. Putin, the first thing he did when he landed was he said, if this war would not have happened, Joe Biden wouldn't have been here. So they all know ego, and we have to cater to his ego to the best of our ability while we don't negotiate on our self-respect. Because we like it or we don't like it, he's going to be here until the time he goes lame duck. To that.
Yes. Okay. Let me, in fact, also, quickly draw back in Gautam in at this point as well. Gautam Mukherjee, we have seen the foreign minister draw the red line now. Does this give us a sense of what the Indian foreign policy is going to be moving forward? The outlook ahead, very clearly? And that will be the last word, Gautam.
Yeah, very much so, Uday, because I think India has given up on Trump for the time being, because he is being totally unreasonable, as is the various spokesmen in his administration, with the possible exception of Bolton, who got attacked, and Nikki Haley, who so far hasn't been attacked but is not saying anything that Trump wants to hear. We have moved on. When America wakes up, and it will, this $25 billion of tariffs that it has collected will not last long. And then, as Sharad was saying, there's an avalanche of economic bad news coming up. They may be forced to change course. Then we will see what we will see. In the meantime, we will have established a new platform. Edging towards China and Russia is inevitable. Yes, it isn't in the best of circumstances as far as leverage is concerned, but in any case, trade with China is essential for India. There are at least 30% of what we import from China cannot be avoided as we stand, even when things were not cozying up. So now this will expand. It can only help. and we will deal with America when it starts to come to its senses.
Okay. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us on this discussion. It's time for a very short break.